Hello everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing great. And that you're all having a fantastic day. Don't forget to leave a like and leave a comment telling me what your favorite investment is. Like, what do you like to invest in? What is the thing that kind of gets you going? It's really weird because investing is like a hyper hobby for me, so I'm interested to see what everyone else likes to put their money into. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Here's a fascinating one. So if you remember, probably not. I know I say that phrase 9 million times per day. But it's true, like, because I'd say a lot of stuff. Daily news. So I mentioned before that as the market would begin to move back up, for those of you who missed that somehow, what ends up happening is we tend to get a lot more articles about people who've kind of struck it rich within the cryptocurrency space and within the market. There have been a couple in the last, I want to say, month or two that revolve around like, this person put this money into this meme coin. Now they made $7 million, like that kind of thing. But what ends up happening every cycle, this isn't the first time, every cycle, is that as prices rise and more people actually end up crossing the threshold into crypto millionaire, into crypto billionaire status, it of course ends up making the news. This one is interesting because they kind of nearly all have the exact same thing. You'll see. According to Henley and Partners Crypto Wealth Report, Bitcoin millionaires have increased by over 111% from last year. There are apparently now 85,400 Bitcoin millionaires on the planet. I feel like that number should be higher, but I'm going to continue. Accounting for apparently 49.6% of crypto millionaires in 2024. In terms of crypto billionaires, 5 out of the 6 new people this year also owe their fortunes to Bitcoin. Yeah, apparently on a scale of all the other coins and cryptocurrencies within the market, the largest amount of new millionaires and also new crypto billionaires apparently are getting their money because of Bitcoin's actual rise, with nearly 49.6%, nearly 50% of them getting rich because of the Bitcoin that they hold. Now, I will repeat once again, I do not know who out there needs to have a conversation with their portfolio as to if they should or could or maybe need to potentially add Bitcoin to it. And I say that because I am constantly flabbergasted is the word that, I mean, you know what the word flabbergasted mean? Like, it's like you're so like almost like detrimentally in shock. Whenever I go over the news, you've seen the news and you follow the channel for years and you know what the news is about. You know what whales are buying, what they're accumulating, what they're holding 91% of, what there's not a lot left of in the market. And to still see people in the comment section saying they own no Bitcoin, it's a little bizarre. Do you remember years ago, maybe even a year, I don't remember, it was in some video, there was a thing, we were looking through like old Reddit articles, and part of it was, we'll move on after, part of it is that people were saying that like they were like, you know, worth $500,000 in Bitcoin, but this is like over a decade ago, and these people had huge amounts of Bitcoin. Like, I mean, like, I have 13,000 Bitcoin, like that kind of thing. The idea was then if Bitcoin's price goes higher and higher, you would therefore need less Bitcoin to actually be able to become a millionaire. That's part of the, remember like where Kathy Wood and almost said Big Mac. I think I'm hungry. And all these other people kept on saying the last like year that by the year 2030, 2035, we're going to have a 2.4, a $4.7 million Bitcoin. 4.7 essentially would mean that you would need a quarter of a Bitcoin to actually become a millionaire. And that's this kind of thing that people, I don't know why, people keep forgetting that they can buy fractionalized Bitcoin. Whatever. I'm not here to give another Bitcoin dad talk, but you understand what I'm saying. Yeah, the amount of people becoming rich are becoming rich because of Bitcoin. Currently, there are 172,300 people. No, that number has to be higher. Out of 8 billion people on the planet, out of 8 billion individuals walking around, only 172,000 are crypto millionaires. When you hear me say how frustrated I am that after 8 years that A, more people haven't gotten into crypto, and B, the people who I know will benefit the most from crypto and its price rises are you, like you listening to this right now, and retail investors. I don't care jack diddly squat what Elon Musk does. I don't care what the guy from Dell does. I also get a little angry when I hear that the people from MicroStrategy own 252,000 Bitcoin. Very intelligent on their part that they're buying up this asset for literal pennies right now that's going to go over multiple millions of dollars for one Bitcoin. Genius on their part. But what I need is a little bit more genius from everyone else on the planet as well. I think it's great that people around the world are beginning to understand what's going on. I mean, the fact that none of you got it after hearing that BlackRock got into Bitcoin. Okay. When we heard that the dozen central banks are each individually holding billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, for those of you who've heard me say that and don't know what I'm talking about. There was a survey, if you will, air quote survey, that was done by, I think it was the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements. They were asking central banks around the world if they had any exposure to Bitcoin. They asked 19 of them and only 12 responded, and they all said, yes, we're holding billions of dollars in Bitcoin. How that doesn't rile people up or make people understand what the fudge is going on, I do not know. I sincerely don't understand it. You mean to tell me that all of you, all the people on the planet, everyone who's into, I've seen some cryptocurrency. I mean, this may be years ago. Crypto YouTube videos. Some people were getting like 2.4 million views on some of these things. You mean to tell me that out of 8 billion people, only 172,000 have more than $1 million worth of crypto? That to me is crazy. And I'll say it from, so once again, everyone has different lives. We're all going through different things. But that means, and I'll try and say this nicely, over the course of the last decade, and even the last 4, 5, 6 years that a lot of people have been in the space, not only have they not been buying, but they haven't been paying attention. I told you that's actually, I mean, not in a joking way, That's one of my biggest fears for the future of like finance and of money. When we hear that these people keep making tons of money from crypto, I don't want any of you to be left out. The problem is that we're seeing a hyper wealth consolidation for everything. For everything. And the only people who are being left out is retail, is you. I don't know the name of that Twitter account that does, it's something called like Crypto Confessions or something. Maybe that's the actual name of it. And it's I scroll down every now and again and it pops up and I read what it says. And it's basically people writing in to the person who runs the account. They tell them their crypto confessions. One of them was like, I told my family about Bitcoin in 2014. No one listened to me, so I bought a whole bunch. And now I have several $1 million worth of Bitcoin. And I'm never going to tell my family because they didn't believe in me before, like that kind of thing. Understandable, if I can say it that way. But a lot of the people who write in or who get posted, some of them are like, earlier this year, I took my kid's college fund and I pumped it into a whole bunch of meme coins. The coins doubled and tripled in value, and I was waiting for like another 2x so that I could tell my wife and my kids, look at what I did. They would get upset, and then I would go, wait, look at how much money I made. The problem is that was a rug pull. That was a scam. That was another rug pull. And now I only have $10,000 left from the initial $100,000 that I had. What am I going to do? The energy that people have in this space for scams is something that'll never cease to amaze me. How many people want, now I won't say the word want to be scammed. And I understand, and I'll say it from this point again. I understand that I don't have, obviously, the most popular crypto news channel thingy because people want hype. You want to be told that piece of garbage you just picked up, that's going to make you a billionaire. People thrive off of things like that. So when I give you the real news of the SEC filing applications, the Litecoin ETF, what XRP did, what Ripple's doing, what Charles Hoskinson said that no one asked for when he was screaming at someone on YouTube, I get that it's not everyone's cup of tea, if you will, because it's not as dramatically exciting. I do appreciate, for a lot of you who've been here for years, it sounds cheesy, but I truly do appreciate the fact that you're still here, that you leave a like every single day, but that you're also like aware of the world around you. I don't know if that makes any sense. That you hear me tell this news daily and then you understand it. It sounds like it's not anything that is revolutionary or world changing, but it is. Because you've managed to dodge all these scam coins, all these Solana things, all these rug pulls because of like listening to the actual news. Like you have your feet on the ground. You're not looking for the next big quick thing. That's the problem with so many of these meme coins. And scams in general in crypto and also in general in the world is that people like they're very clever because they trick you into believing that you're at the top of the pyramid. When you read a news article saying this coin's about to do an 18,000% increase, no, you're at the bottom of that pyramid. That's some company who's paying a news outlet to write an article to tell you that you have to jump into it, and you give them the extra exit liquidity. This is how it always works. And you would assume that after the 18th time that it happens, that people in crypto would go, we should stay away from all of that. But these coins thrive and they get bigger and they continue going until eventually they completely disappear. I hope that I've helped in some sort of way, from the news, from going over topics, from talking to all of you, into actually, it's okay, obviously, if you're not a crypto millionaire right now, but I hope that over the years, I've helped you make 5 figures. I've helped you get to $150,000 worth of crypto in your portfolio from like going over all these things. Because the number, do you understand that it's estimated? It's estimated that there are over 100 million people in crypto. 100 million people, and only 172,000 are actual millionaires. That's a problem. That's because the vast majority of people in this space are not paying attention to what's actually big, what's popular, what's strong. You're not looking at the metrics. You're not paying attention to the news. Every single cycle, it's always the same. And I don't know what the next thing is going to be, but I will tell you this. By the time we get to December, January, this is in January, I'm going to say, a couple of months ago, I told you, and December and January, something new will pop up, and it's probably going to be the precursor or the thing that gets retail investors back into the space. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's always something. Every cycle, you would assume it would be Bitcoin. You would assume it would be Ether. There's always something that pops up, some new protocol, some new coin, some new idea, some new something. And it drives people insane. They jump into the market and everything pumps, explodes, parabolic, goes into the sky. We don't know what that thing is yet. It was for a while assumed that it was going to be DeFi in some sort of way and or IPOs for crypto companies. And now people assume it's going to be ETFs. But I don't think we found that spark yet. There's always something that pops up that everyone goes crazy for. And by the end of the year, so it would be the end of 2025, it disappears. Because the whole time it was just a gigantic cash grab from these companies who decided to make it and or mimic other people. The $172,000 people is actually like slightly diabolical. Because you would assume isn't that less than, wait. That's 10% of 1% of people in crypto are millionaires. If you have 100 million people in crypto, and then you say 1 million people, that's 1%. 172, that's 10% of 1% of people in this market have made over $1 million or are currently millionaires where prices are. And I know for a fact it's because of all the other garbage that's been pushed over multiple years. You're going to see, for those of you who've been diligent, for those of you who've been buying, for those of you who've been accumulating, for those of you who've been paying attention, you're going to see the difference that your efforts have made from you paying attention to real things in this market. But once again, I can only tell you what things are. I can only lead you to the blockchain, if you will. But you have to actually like go the next step. That's why I meant last point. That's why I said, we all go through and have been through situations where we bought a bunch of stuff that we don't need or didn't need. We've gone over that hundreds of times. But I started telling you this year and the end of last year, you have a bunch of clutter in your house, some of you. You have a bunch of junk, things you don't need. The old phones that are sitting inside of a dresser or a drawer. Things around your house that you have no need for, that you could also sell, that you could also be able to invest and save and all these other kinds of things. You just have to act. And I'm still struggling with the fact that most people don't act. They have the intention in their head, but you can't procrastinate with making your life better. You can't. You have to do something right now. This is why I think I have a huge problem with procrastination. I'm I want to use the term workaholic, but it's something along those lines where if I know that something needs to be done, I have to do it, because if it sits in the back of my head, I go insane. I don't want to have a situation where I'm like, oh, that thing I wanted to do 3 years ago, I should have done it. No, I'm buying all the crypto and all the NFTs that I know will do well later on right now. Like, I'm preparing for this to happen so that I can do X, Y, and Z, so that I can buy more real estate, that I can buy more assets, that I can buy more art. You can't wait, because the only person waiting is you. No one else is going to grab your hand and go, you've waited long enough. Come on, let's do it together. No, it's you. Like, you're the person who's in control of your life. Didn't mean to have a rant and a rave, but you got to get it together, because we're going into this crazy bull run together. And the problem is that a lot of you, heed my warning, a lot of you are going to be very disappointed, because and I'll tell you from a standpoint of what I've seen from other people. If this is your first bull run, if this is your first go around, what's going to happen is that you're going to see the market move up. Got it. You'll look at your portfolios, and one day you'll have $160,000, $170,000, maybe sometime by spring or summer. Greed will tell you not to sell, not to take profits. And what ends up happening is that people wait and wait and wait until because I had a friend, we're not friends anymore. This was years ago. It wasn't a warning. I was like, dude, you can buy like a small house somewhere. He kept on waiting because he wanted enough money. He wanted the market to continue multiplying for him to be able to retire. The issue is that he wasn't buying over the course of a 4-year period. It was in the last year when I had this same talk with him, and I shook him, and I was like, stop. What are you waiting for? Get into the market right now. Look at how cheap that the prices are. He started buying. I won't tell you what coin he bought, but it was one of the major coins. He did excessively well, but he didn't do as well as he wanted to. He wanted like $3 or $4 or $5 million to retire. Me telling him that you can cash out some of it, take some profits, and you can buy a home somewhere wasn't enough for him. So he waited. And he waited until 2022, until middle 2022. And by 2023, he was like, the market's not going back up. That's going to happen to a lot of you as well. And I'm trying to say this in the nicest way possible. You have to prepare early. Me going over whale news and people buying when the prices go down isn't a random mistake. That's when you get into the market. Remember when we were talking about that Bitcoin went to 30, 40, 50, 60,000? Do you remember what I kept on saying? I was like, we're in a very good position because Bitcoin was $15,000 before this. The market's moving up. We're in a very good space. The market's going to continue going higher. If you get it, remember when everyone was like, we're never going above 50,000. And then here we are right now. It's the same exact thing if for others you don't remember it, when Ethereum fell beneath $100. I was like, this seems like a really, really good time. I think Litecoin went down to, was it like 6 or 7 in 2020? It was all these crazy things going on. Long story short, greed is going to get a lot of you during this cycle. You're going to continue thinking that prices will continue multiplying upwards forever, and they won't. And this also crashes a lot of crypto fortunes as well, and it discourages people. They leave the market not realizing that it's meant to be a lesson that you have to actually learn. Yeah, it's 172,000 people out of 100 million. It's 1% of 1%, with 10% of 1%. Which is also insane. Bitcoin holders have notably contributed to the surge in crypto millionaires. I think people are going to be very, not slightly, I think people are going to be so insanely upset when Bitcoin continues going higher. A number of years ago, people for some reason kept on thinking that, for whatever reason, that Ethereum was going to be number one, XRP was going to be number one. And I'm like, you can't count this thing out. We've only had good Bitcoin news every day over the course of the last 8 years. I think when Bitcoin goes to $1 million, whenever that might be, I think people are going to be angry with themselves because it's going to be like a really big smack to the face, if you will, about what they should have done, and then these people still won't get into the market. And then Bitcoin will 4 or 5x in price over the next decade, and they still won't get into the market. But I think this happens for everything. I told you that happened before with real estate with a lot of people who I knew. I was finding like nice homes for them, 30, 40, 50,000 is like over a decade ago, 30, 40, 50,000 that are now worth 200, 300,000. And they go, I wish I had gotten. And it's like, what are you waiting for? Like, why do you keep waiting? Like, what moment do you think like angels are going to come down from heaven and sing to you and go, now bye? That's not me, angelic sing, but you understand, like, is this kind of like, I don't get what people wait for. Like, yeah, of course, all the Bitcoin is owned by whales. They've been buying for 15 years consistently, while clearly 100 million people just weren't paying attention to the market. When you hear that all these banks and institutions and companies and BlackRocks and ETFs and governments are mining Bitcoin, what do you think this all means? Do you understand that, like, we're witnessing the change in finance? The guy from BlackRock, Larry Fink, he said a couple days ago, he said something along the lines of like, paraphrasing, something like Bitcoin's the future. This is the new way to transact. Like, this is the new so-and-so. He said it's going to take over the housing market, which is valued at $50 trillion. He said Bitcoin's going to, market cap wise, going to have a valuation over 50 trillion. It's not that I expect Bitcoin's price to surge from his words, but gosh darn it, like, no one pays attention until Bitcoin goes to 120,000 and people go, oh my gosh, remember it was 15,000 I should have bought. And it's like, what are you going to buy now? No, because Bitcoin might go back down. I still see in the comment section, I still see in articles, I still see on Twitter, a lot of people are like, well, I'm not going to buy it right now because Bitcoin might go down by 15%. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, you keep hope alive, and I hope that it works out for you. Mathematically, it won't, but I hope that you eventually make it before the next 2, 3, 4, 5 decades. Bitcoin holders have contributed to the surge in crypto millionaires, with the asset-related millionaires growing by over 111% in the same period to 85,400 wallets. Not even people. These are different wallets, which lets me know that this number of people is probably even smaller. For those of you who didn't get that before, we had some kind of like whale wallet news. This is a while ago, maybe even a couple months, doesn't matter, maybe summertime. And the idea was the amount of wallets, like whale wallets, who are holding Bitcoin. And I had to remind people, you assume that number is very high and you go, oh, that's cool. That's a good amount of people. People don't hold all their assets in one anything. If you had $100 million, you would not hold all your money in one bank account. You would have it in probably around a dozen, if not more, bank accounts around the world in different places, just in case politically something happened, you'd still have access to your money. If you have all of it in one space and that goes belly up, well, guess what? You just lost $100 million. You also wouldn't just have $100 million. You'd have multiple homes. You'd have multiple properties. You'd have a whole bunch of different investments and stocks. And so you don't keep all of it in one basket, as it were. So a lot of the stuff that we were hearing about these wallet addresses that had over 1,000 Bitcoin, I was like, even the one that we had over 100 Bitcoin, I was like, that lets me know that someone out there who has 1,000 Bitcoin, they have it in 10 different wallets, as if not more, as a just in case. So, yeah, Bitcoin millionaires now make up nearly half of global crypto millionaires, and they have a little chart right here as well. Apparently, there are now 28 crypto billionaires, with 6 new entrants this year alone. 5 of the 6 new billionaires in 2024 have most of their assets in Bitcoin. I wonder why, and I wonder who they are. I mean, we probably know. In terms of users, okay, it's actually a lot higher. Okay. In terms of users, it says Bitcoin holders. Apparently, there are 275 million wallets holding Bitcoin. Representing, that number is also higher, representing 49% of the total 506 million plus crypto users. So, okay, so no, it's even worse. So my 100 million people on the planet was just blown out of the water. So it's a percent of 1% of a percent of people. This isn't meant to discourage anyone. This isn't meant to make anyone feel bad. It's just, I keep hoping that a lot of times when I bring news or information, that like the light bulb goes off. Like, you know, the little animated one, like the cartoon one, like, oh, okay, now, okay, I get it. And I'd rather you get it now than later. I'd rather you understand it today than in 2028. Like what's happening and what's taking place. Because this is going to change the fabric of the entire world, of what it means. If all the Bitcoin gets hoarded by a literal handful of people, 172,000 to 560 million people, that changes the fabric and the face of the world. Because you can't simply just create extra Bitcoin when there's an extra need. You can print more money, like fiat currencies, if the birth rate has gone up. If you have 50 million new people in a decade, well, we need more money. Like, you know, we need to, you know, print. Like that's usually the mindset that they say. But as the world's population increases, there's not going to be any more Bitcoin. There's actually only going to be less. A lot of the companies who are buying Bitcoin, they're probably going to be holding on to it, and I'll use the word forever. Why would I get rid of an asset that's $500,000 that's going up to 2.5 million? Bitcoin's 2.5 million. It's even more scarce now. Well, why would I get rid of it now when it's going up to 14 million? Bitcoin's 14 million. Well, now there's none coming out of the machine. None. I mean, like, it's just like, it's literal dust that's coming out of the machine. And even the people who are mining it aren't selling it. So I'm not selling my Bitcoin. I'm not, you know, relinquishing it and putting it all back onto the market. I'm not getting rid of my wealth. Pay attention to what's happening. Always, 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 always. Those numbers are crazy. 172,000 compared to 500 million people. Remember, last point, when I was talking to you before about the wealth transfer, this is it. This is the wealth transfer. Because this number of crypto millionaires will probably rise to around 500,600,000 people as the crypto market pumps, skyrockets, prices go higher. And we will probably then hear that there's 1 billion people in crypto and only 600,000 are actual millionaires. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got something from it. I know that only like 15 of you actually are paying attention. And I know you're going to be the successful one. So golf clap to you. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day. Morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.